Well, hey guys, welcome to the debut of a new program. As you can tell, it is a brand spanking new program because I have a generic intro and I intend to change that. Um, I will eventually make an intro here for the Midnight Prism. I came up with the name all on my own. I really like the name of the show. I like doing a paranormal show on Sunday because it's really cool. And you guys know I used to co host with Final Death Star on Enter the Unfamiliar. And of course, that show isn't dead, but Final has largely stepped away from YouTube because he's got real life going on. And I wanted to do something to kind of fill that gap. We need that late night Sunday fun discussion about all things unexplained and paranormal and stuff like that. And I enjoy that. And so does Sir Talks a Lot. And he's in the house. And I couldn't think of a better co host because Sir Talks a Lot. If you paid attention to his, solo content outside of, reading articles and stuff like that on Comics' channel, Sir Talks a Lot is a thoughtful guy. And he brings some great things to the table when breaking down a topic. And he's very much interested in a lot of these things, a lot of this different phenomena, as am I, and what you have to look forward to with this program is we'll have a lot of different topics on here. We'll cover everything from Sasquatch to ghost encounters to, we'll cover probably at some point secret societies. Probably at some point we'll cover shadow people and things like that. Obviously UFOs, UAP phenomena of any sort. We'll get into that. But I want to do this show, it's not a carbon copy of Enter the Unfamiliar. We're going to try to approach things, from a different angle. Because as the show is called the Midnight Prism, I want to kind of put things through a different light and examine these subjects seriously. Because, when you have something like, for example, like we're talking about Sasquatch this evening. Okay. You have convincing arguments on both sides because on one hand you have some compelling evidence. Let's be real. There is some compelling evidence. And then on the other side, you have skeptics that raise a great point as well. And we're kind of going to examine this stuff and kind of take a look at it ourselves and really figure out where we kind of come out on these things. And I want you guys to chime in and really sort of give your input on it as well. And I know you guys are great viewers. You guys are always great, when we do our other shows like, Resistance and things like that. And I want you to bring the same fervor and analysis that you do with those shows on this one, because I think these topics are really cool to talk about. And what is a great thing about this? All in all, guess what? It actually gives us an escape. Escapist entertainment, guys. That's what's up. So I'm really happy about that. So, hello, Sir Talks a Lot. It is great to have you on the inaugural episode of the Midnight Prism. What is up, my friend?
Hello and hail to the chat. It's great to be here. I do love everything paranormal and all cryptids, and I love looking at evidence that these things exist. I'm hopeful, agnostic on these kinds of things where I'd love that Sasquatch actually exists, but I kind of need to see a corpse. That's kind of the fence that I'm on. But I love looking at all that stuff. I love ghost encounters. I love poltergeist videos. I love like theories about like the rake.
Mm-hmm.
I love all of this stuff. And, aliens, of course, are a big thing. I love me some alien talk. And this is going to be a kick ass time because Sasquatch is my favorite cryptid of all time.
Well, we're gonna, like I said, this show affords us the opportunity to do this, and it's,
Oh yes,
and
talking
it's at
about
a
Wendigos and all kinds of shit. It's gonna be
yes,
great.
exactly. So, let's get to some of our chatters and see what's going on. Of course, Court Justice Drug 3PO. I like the name alt right Drug 3PO. I like that you changed it to that. That is awesome. And yes, this is definitely something new I'm trying out. It will be interesting.
Hail.
Um, and yeah, it'd be awesome if those guys would join in. Papa Cotton says, I buy everything David Icke says before I buy into Bigfoot. It's BS, just like Nessie. The locals of Loch Ness know that's a scam, just like any guy in Montana suckering city boys on a Squatch hunt. And listen, Papa Cotton, look, I respect your opinion. You know that. And it's like I said, I get it. I like skeptics. So,
Well, see, the thing is Papa Cotton didn't actually say anything in that statement that I would consider wrong,
no, he didn't.
because it's like someone else said. I'm sure we'll get to it. Maybe once upon a time, but not anymore.
CJ says, I think Nessie and Bigfoot were
There you go.
once real. I don't think they're real anymore. I think they're long dead. And that could be too.
See, yeah.
Tehillim says, good to see you, Supreme Heretic. Good to see you, Tehillim.
Hail to
Bone
him.
says, what's up, Drew? What up, Bone? Good to see you, sir. One of my favorite peeps in the world, RR, says, enter the heretical. Yes, sir. We're kind of we're entering through the lens of the Midnight Prism, and I really, really like this show. Papa Cotton says, yeah, I figured you were just using Bigfoot for episode 1 because it's a softball topic before getting into anything that actually exists. Yeah, yeah. Will says, just what I thought I would have nothing to do Monday at 12:20 a.m. uh, Bigfoot's a good opening topic into the supernatural realm. And yes, it is.
It is.
RR, because, remember, you have you have diverging camps on Sasquatch on the legend. So you have the camp
All
that
kinds of different ones.
looks at this from the natural standpoint of, all right, this is an uncatalogued species of great ape, of primate, and that's all it is. And it's just very elusive. It does have a habitat, so therefore we know it roams somewhere, but this is just one of those really hard to find creatures on the planet that they just haven't cataloged yet. And
So the problem I have with that theory, I'm sorry to just jump in and start shitting on stuff, but the problem I have with that story is that primates leave evidence, and that would suggest a higher intelligence than anything in the actual primate family would be capable of. And then that brings up the camp that believes that it's an evolutionary step between primates and humans.
well, and that's the thing, and a lot of like anthropologists, people like that, they kind of have speculated that. I don't know that it is. I just think it's just an animal, and I've always kind of maintained more that Sasquatch is an animal. Some people say it's a human animal hybrid. And some people say that, it could be a mystical being.
Yep. Some people say that it's another other dimensional being, and I've heard other people say that it's an actual alien, and that's why it explains a lot of other things that happens with Bigfoot.
I don't dismiss when I look at things on a whole about the legend of Sasquatch. I definitely don't dismiss what the Native Americans say, and I know to some people, especially to the lay person, to people that are very, like absolutely grounded in reality, like hardcore skeptics. It's very easy to maybe, I guess just dismiss out of hand the Native American legends and things like that, but it's really not. Like I talked to Alora, and shout out to OG Star Wars. If you're not subscribed to OG Star Wars, check out Alora's content because she has some really great stuff about, the Star Wars expanded universe, things of that nature. But Alora is Lakota. And she explained to me, and I quote because I talked to her just earlier this evening, and she explained to me the Lakota's name for a Bigfoot, which I believe she says it's spelled Chiye and then the word Tonka. So it's Chaye Tonka, or translated means big brother. So that's the Lakota term for the Sasquatch.
Well, and many of the Native American tribes, especially in North America's like upper reaches towards British Columbia and say Upper Washington areas like that, people often associated the Sasquatch Bigfoot with being a protector of the environment and a big brother to all things to take care of it. And it was a very not only a spiritual creature for them, but it was a very naturally like influential creature on both society and on like the forests and stuff like that.
Yeah, our brought up Corey the very thing that we talked about just before we went live.
The
Uh,
Nephilim connection.
Yep, and he's in the interdimensional camp, and that's very interesting. By the way, folks, if you want to help out the show, if you put in the exclamation point tip command, you can help out the show. That goes the streamelements.com tip site is tied directly to PayPal, which if you want to tip the show directly, that's the best way to do it. Or we have super chats, so that is the thing too. Another monster. Hey, buddy, great to see you. What is up? We are talking about Sasquatch this evening.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now I'm going to bring up a clip as soon as I can find it because I thought this was very compelling. This was something that, as I was doing a little bit of research for the show, that was really really fun that I found, and I got to search YouTube here and find it again because it was super good, and this was because the best place to start when you're talking about Bigfoot is obviously you go to the most compelling piece of evidence first, and that is
Are you talking about the Gimlin film?
Patterson Gimlin film. Yes,
Yeah.
because it is, and again, there's a split camp on
The
Patterson Gimlin,
legitimacy.
about the legitimacy. Some people think it was a guy in a suit. There's
Yep.
also a lot of people, and I'm in the camp that it is a legitimate piece of footage. I believe that animal that you're seeing on that film, based on the stride, the gait, the way that it moves, the musculature on it, the facial features on it is like nothing I've ever seen, and it leads me to believe that that particular piece of footage is genuine. Corey, why don't you explain where you're at on that camp as I continue to find this?
As far as the Gimlin film goes, I do have some skeptical reservations because you can fake these kinds of things. They weren't exactly on the greatest terrain for footprints, so they didn't have to worry about weight being an issue and stuff like that. But at the same time, I agree with the gait and certain movement aspects of it being somewhat convincing. Um, but the most important thing about the Gimlin film, in my opinion, is what they actually said in interviews prior to it. And if it's a hoax, then these guys held on to it until their dying breaths. And one of the things that they said is one of the guys went to chase after it to continue filming, and the other guy stopped him because he noticed that there were tracks on the other side of the hill from two other sizes of these creatures. And so he couldn't be left alone because it seemed like a family or a pack of these Bigfoot, if you will. But that raised questions in my mind once again on why didn't they have film or photograph of said footprints and stuff, because they never produced that. It was simply a claim. So I'm still on the fence about that one, honestly, because it's too old for us to go back and fact check at this point. And while it is compelling for many people to see, it doesn't stand up like it set the pace for the rest of the Bigfoot evidence that we've seen, for sure, including video quality, because it doesn't seem like anyone moved past that level of video quality on Bigfoot. Yes.
No, I get that, and that to me, I I feel like that that footage is very compelling, and I'll show you why. Um, Hail, Chris Fisk. It's great to see you, sir. And I want you folks to see this.
Bigfootsies.
Big footsies. Big. Let's do some big footsies.
Uh, Another monster is hilarious. That's great.
Yeah, and by the way, this is from an episode of Monster Quest. So, I want you guys to be aware of where the footage comes from. But, I want you to pay attention to this because these guys are breaking down the Patterson Gimlin film. And, you know, we're gonna kind of check this out because they do a very interesting analysis here. Let's see. Let me unmute it. That would help.
Unfortunately, it's too grainy.
So Darius, you can see here on this image, it's just the full color image digitally pulled off the film.
But as they focus their attention on the subject's head, they make an amazing discovery.
And as you look at the enhanced one, you can see the level of detail has been pulled out. And
you get individual parts of the face.
Yeah, you can resolve the individual parts of the face, the nostrils, the mouth.
When the original film is blown up to a headshot of the creature, the image becomes just a fuzzy blob. But when the enhanced digital image is blown up to the same size, the new details emerge.
You can see the eyelids move up and down. That's muscle there around there, the circular muscle called the orbicularis oris. Particularly well developed was the masseter, this big muscle over here that moves the jaw.
All right, so suspenseful music. That is a big key for me because that tells me right there, all right, that looks to me like a primate. That looks to me like a primate, dude. That's an animal.
If it's real, yeah.
I mean, that's an animal to me.
I mean, I could definitely see that. But I got a question like what kind of technology these guys were using.
Well, here, just look at the next frame when they go on.
And this is the most interesting sequence of the mouths opening and closing. What's interesting in that it shows the movement of the mouth and the sides of the face and the lips. So there's quite a bit resolved, and there's actually a lot of detail that is consistent from frame to frame, and you get a consistent facial morphology looking at multiple frames. People have often thought of the film subject's mouth as being higher up than it actually is.
So you see how that can happen too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's a picture of Pan,
Yeah.
a chimpanzee. And you think that the mouth is actually where this dark line is, but it's actually below that.
Okay. So now do you see where
That's a fair point.
yeah, exactly. And and that to me was the most interesting thing about this analysis, because I was like, okay, I could see that. So it looks to me like this is more a primate.
Well, and I
This
like
is
the
a
fact that
creature.
and I like the fact that they're analyzing facial movements, because in the human versus primate world, facial movements, the musculature, and all that stuff is actually very different. So it's actually very hard for a person without the proper musculature and skeletal build to mimic the facial motions of an ape. But like, if their technology was in fact good enough to pick up the individual musculature movements on that grainy ass video, then I could conceivably believe that it was legitimate. But I mean, I never trust technology with everything. Those guys are probably experts in their fields, but I've done no research on them, so I'm still a skeptic on the Gimlin film.
No, and you know what? And that's perfectly reasonable, dude. That's fair enough. But when you go and you have an analysis that shows me something like that, okay, I could, from the realm of plausibility, say, okay,
Yes.
that does something for me compared to some of the other stuff that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely add it to
Chris
the
Christier's savage.
that's racist. It's not.
I
It's
love
not,
it.
in fact,
Oh
because
man.
science and anatomy. See, that's just it. Okay, Ron Perlman is in fact the missing link. I'm pretty sure somewhere like 2 generations from him was like a silverback getting it on with a circus performer. Okay, and that's just how Ron Perlman came to be somehow. I
Exactly.
mean,
Oh man.
look at. I'm just okay. That man's in a whole different league of his own. God.
Oh man, dude, it's funny because knowing that Chris is in here, and then TWTG content, and another monster, and Wook, of course. I knew that there was probably zero chance I was going to be able to like do this episode and be 100% without some crazy shit that was going to make me crack up. but so here we are. We didn't even make it 17 minutes in, and I just got that. But no, getting back to those guys analyzing that, I mean, I think that was a fair analysis, dude. I mean, it really was. And there was other stuff that they showed in that episode of Monster Quest, by the way, because they had Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum on, who has been researching Bigfoot for decades now.
Yeah.
And the guy is legit. He's a legit scientist, and he was saying the way, if you pay attention to the gait and the way that the foot moves, the way that the track post sighting, the tracks, the plaster cast that they got, shows the way that the foot is structured and everything else, that this creature has very, very unique features. They're not, it wasn't anything out of place. It wasn't like, some of those like, just, those things that people have where you could just make fake footprints on the ground. It wasn't nothing like that.
Well, see, the skeptic in me kicks in with that too, with the footprints. And I just have like there are ways to fake that. It would be damn hard. But the skeptic in me kicks in because they were in such an area where they got what, like one really good footprint and then like two partials. And, you know, like if it's an intelligent creature, then perhaps it is masking its tracks by staying to the rockier portions of the riverbed. But I mean, it's just a little convenient. I'm just
All right. Well, you're talking late 60s.
this is true.
So the Patterson Gimlin film was shot in 67. So
And they were on horses when they filmed it too, because they were
Right.
filming a different wildlife documentary on horseback. I would like to point that out. That's one of the things that lends that clip credence in my mind is they weren't actually
Yeah.
out there to do this kind of stuff. They were out there to film like deer and creeks and, you know, forests.
So this was shot in 67. All right. So if you go from the skeptic point of view, a lot of point out that it's a man in a suit. You would have to have like the most sophisticated suit beyond Hollywood costuming technology at the time to even reproduce that, dude.
Talking
And
about
then
the dermal ridges in
yeah,
the feet. Yeah,
dermal ridges and whole 9
that's-
yards.
that's the most compelling piece of biological evidence that I saw
Yeah.
was the dermal ridges in the feet, because those are incredibly hard to fake because there's specific scars that go along and this, that, and the
Yeah.
other thing.
Hail Tina Bojan.
Hail,
Great to see
Tina.
you. And Papa Cotton says, Bigfoots walk in single file to hide their numbers. Don't even get me started on the blast points. Nice. Hail the Woke Breaker. Good to see you. Chris Fisk says, are there any brownback gorilla species? I'd be curious to see if it wasn't just a previously thought of extinct gorilla species. And you know what, Chris Fisk, there's a lot of experts that go along that line of thinking as well. It's funny because with you guys that have watched Enter the Unfamiliar with us, we talk about the lady that looks like Janice from the Muppets, which I might have to introduce Corey to Janice from the Muppets so he knows. So he knows the lady we refer to. The funny thing is with that, there's scientists now in the field that are going on that assumption, that are actually looking into Sasquatch from that regard. I personally think it's more of an uncatalogued species, or it
Okay.
could be an extinct species.
But let's focus on the Lazarus taxonomy for a minute, okay? A
Okay.
previously thought of extinct species that is recently being discovered as being alive. This has happened in recent history. It's happened with the pygmy whale. It's happened
Coelacanth.
The
The
coelacanth.
fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's happened with the coelacanth. It's happened with certain types of squid, giant octopus, you name it. It's happened. We've discovered them birds even, where we're like, what? You're supposed to be dead. Damn. But so when it comes down to the Bigfoot being a Lazarus taxonomy would be that would also indicate that it has, for lack of a better term, evolved a higher understanding of its surroundings than its other counterparts in the wild. Because if you look at where Sasquatch usually lives, especially in the northern reaches and stuff, it lives where bears live, which means it's a healthy population of both berries, of both edible plants, and of edible animals that they can hunt down and kill. And that means that they would have conscious mind to hide from humans because they've seen what humans have done so far, which means they could understand the social intricacies of certain environmental impacts, and they could retreat and become assumed to be extinct or assumed to be cryptozoological. And then that could also result in us not having ever discovered them as an animal species. I mean, all of that is a very plausible process because we've done it. We have track records of doing these things.
Yeah. To support the point about the suit, you would have a better makeup artist than the Planet of the Apes, which won the Academy Award for makeup in '68. And he's exactly spot on with that.
Very true.
That's why, again, I kind of shoot down it's the man in the suit theory. So there is that point to it. But to kind of touch on what we were gonna show you, because I know a lot of people are dying for it. So I wanna pull it up and show you. It's like Corey has not been introduced to Janet, so we got to introduce him to the lady,
right.
to the lady with the huge lips. Let's see. Which, by the way, guys, I saw in a recent interview with that lady. I don't know if she got the hint and actually got that collagen out of her lips or not, but yeah, she looked a lot better, at least now. But yeah, it was crazy.
So on the Bigfoot note, though, I would like to point out that every culture in the world has a version of Bigfoot, with exception to no, I think even the actual tropical nations in Africa even have legends of Bigfoot like creatures. Because if you've got the Yaoren in China, you've got 5 or 6 different, swamp ape, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Buckwa in Canada. You've got the Yeti in the Himalayas. Australia, I don't think has Sasquatch reports, but they have everything else that can kill you. So why would they need Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Maybe he was like, fuck that place. But, who knows? But they have them everywhere in the world except for very select places. And I mean, kind of like dragons in my mind, when they're that prevalent, how can cultures disconnected for centuries possibly have the same legends? I mean,
all right, we're gonna let you in on something, because we started this on Enter the Unfamiliar, and this lady is like Janice from the Muppets, Dr. Marina Mayer. she's trying to play a Bigfoot howl and get Bigfoot to come out.
The system Maria is using has a top output of 118 decibels, or the same sound level as a jackhammer, meaning anything within a 2-mile radius will be able to hear it.
This is reportedly the best time of night to go hunting for Bigfoot. By me playing this supposed Bigfoot sound out there, that should elicit a response back, because I'm an intruder in its territory. And the territorial species will want to let you know that you're on their turf. So it could attack, which could be super dangerous.
I just like how she's like, it could attack, so that could be super dangerous.
She has the largest upper lip I've ever seen in my life.
All right,
like the longest upper lip.
You're facing an animal that you know nothing about. There's no manual telling you that what you should do is stand still and hold your ground, or climb a tree, or run as fast as you can.
Climb a tree, okay, direction. Lady.
It's an unknown. But if we get a response, I'm going in after it. That's what I would do in the field in Africa, and that's what I'm going to do here tonight.
She's going after
it. Does she have any idea how long it would take a person to climb out of the reach of a Bigfoot? Because people say that Bigfoot stands at about 8 feet. Yeah, like average 8 feet tall. Okay, that's putting its arms at least 4 to 5 feet long above its head. That's an additional 13 feet. Yeah,
13-foot wingspan.
That's without it like tippy-toeing or anything. You've got 13 feet to clear before this thing can can't grab you anymore. So like, unless this lady, like given her upper lip, maybe is part like spider monkey, I highly fucking doubt you're going to climb a tree to get away from Bigfoot.
Oh, another bot just says, is she a gelfling?
Gelfling.
Hold on, that gets better, guys. Hold on, let's let Janice finish her mission again.
We didn't get any response on that one, so we're going to try it again. Sometimes, just because we're not hearing anything, doesn't mean there isn't something out here. Hear that? Oh my God.
After playing
OMG.
Oh my God.
Did you
a
hear
Bigfoot
that?
howl into the forest, primatologist Dr. Maria Mayer has just heard something. Return the call.
That was insane. I have no idea what that was.
Oh my God.
I thought she said she was going to go after it. She didn't just like identify where it was and then sprint off into the woods.
But it sounded like snippets of the Bigfoot recording I just played. You know, I can't really tell for sure where that sound is coming from. It could really be from any direction because it's bouncing back. Let's give it another shot.
Oh my gosh. Gotta love Janice. That clip is so great.
That lady's ridiculous. She knows nothing about being in the woods. Give me a break.
Gotta love Janice.
I'm going to play something so everything in 2 miles can hear, and then I'm going to wait for a reply. Did you hear that? Oh, it might have been echo. No shit.
By the way, mods, which I believe Tehillim is one. Tehillim, if you could go and nail those bots, that would be greatly appreciated, sir.
Bots.
But
gotta love those bots.
Christmas said she's a girl gelfling, so she has to have wings too. Court Justice Drug Tripio said that is the first time I saw that here.
I've never seen that either.
TWTG content says, LOL reminds me of hunting in Warframe. And Christmas says, spoilers, it's an echo.
Indeed.
Another monster said, wait for it, Christmas. She's about to fly towards the sound. Oh, man. You know, it's funny, though. That lady is now on a regular show called Expedition Bigfoot. And I'll tell you what, out of all the crazy reality shows that I've watched dealing with Bigfoot, that one is probably the most based. It's a lot better done than Finding Bigfoot.
That is the worst fucking show in existence for Bigfoot. The guy who runs that squad is a fucking idiot.
He's a grifter. It's been
God.
proven. Matt Moneymaker is like kind of very sus. I always thought that guy was rather sus.
Fucking bitch. I hate that man.
Yeah. And you know what? It's sad because you know, the BFRO as an organization is pretty awesome, but Matt Moneymaker, unfortunately, seems to be the guy that you know, he's caught up. He was caught up in being on a television show and everything else, and I think the guy largely sort of embellished in that program. You know, the one guy that I had respect for on Finding Bigfoot, you know, and I actually talked to him. By the way, guys, a number of years ago, I had some correspondence. I actually video chatted with Cliff Rockman that was in that show.
Who's that?
He was the actual researcher guy, Cliff Rockman. You know,
not the giant guy.
You know, Cliff was like average size guy. You know, and he was the base researcher dude. And you know, I talked to him.
Yeah, I think I remember who you're talking about.
And he's actually super knowledgeable about Bigfoot. and I had a great
I'd hope
discussion
so.
with. Yeah, I had a great discussion with him, and he kind of approaches it both from the realm of skepticism and from the realm of not discounting, like the eyewitness accounts, the whatever the evidence may be. He figures, hey, look, I'm going to investigate and let everything lead to wherever it's going to lead to. And so he doesn't necessarily dismiss anything until it's absolutely, debunked with his own two eyes, which I appreciate that. Good night, Wokebreaker. Take care of yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I got to take off in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, hail Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. Great to see you.
Hail, Tommy. See, my biggest thing with the biggest problem that I have with the research that's been done on Bigfoot is it's all being done by true believers.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the skeptics and stuff really have to do in their endeavor to uphold their side of the argument is not do shit. They don't actually have to go out and apply the scientific method, which, by the way, is directed at falsifying a claim, not proving it. So the diehard believers aren't helping their case because, as they say, when you go looking for something, you'll find it. And if you want to see it bad enough, you'll invent stuff that makes you believe it.
Well, that lady that we just saw, Janice, Dr. Marina Mayer, I should say, she's a primatologist. She's a skeptic. So
I totally get that, but there's not enough of those people. The bulk majority of Bigfoot researchers are hardcore, diehard believers, and we need more objective scientists that are actually applying these kinds of things. Like, as funny as that lady looked, she's a rare breed of individuals willing to take actual scientific applications in research of something that most people just outwardly dismiss as false. And we need more people like her to get out there and do that. We need more people like Les Stroud did in season 6 of Survivor Man. He did an entire season on Bigfoot where he went out and he explored all these places and he applied like the most scientific method that he could within his skill set, which was get out in the woods, survive for these days with absolutely jack shit while actually setting traps and stuff like that for these animals and seeing what happens. And, we need more people out there doing it. But I'm sorry, I don't believe a lot of these 900-pound motherfuckers are climbing mountains to go look for Bigfoot. They're not. Like these guys that claim that they've seen Bigfoot, it's like, he came straight into my backyard. It's like, I don't believe you.
Hail, Henny Lamar. Great to see you. I mean, our reinforces a great point here. Reinforces your point. He said, it's true. A Bigfoot exploration needs a Stanton Friedman type to do scientific research. A lot of people point to Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, the guy that was talking about the stuff, analyzing the stuff with the actual foot, and the way that the composition of the track, the dermal ridges, so on and so forth. That's all from Meldrum, and he does have an extensive scientific background. The guy, is a good scientist. But Corey, he, is more the believer type instead of the just straight up professional skeptic. Now Janice that was doing the Bigfoot call thing, as funny as it is, she's a skeptic.
See, and I'm all for skeptics doing the research, but we often, especially in today's world, run into biases overriding professional boundaries. In such cases, scientists will invent statistics, invent evidence to back up their claims, and they'll oftentimes discard evidence that counters their beliefs. And I believe that cryptozoology has suffered from that a lot. Even the diehard skeptics are willing to trash evidence that this thing could exist. But that's an ethics argument. So I'll just,
See, another monster said, Les Stroud, the Survivor Man, is best survivalist reality star, in my opinion.
I agree.
You know, and I'm going to have to take your guys' word on that. I haven't consumed enough of that guy's content. I have to watch some of it, but I'll definitely watch some of Les Stroud stuff because
Well, yeah, like some of his techniques that he teaches in the regular show and stuff like that, outside of season 6, the Bigfoot episodes, are actually really super useful. And like, of course, I'm not telling you to go jump into a survival thing, but like he taught me how to deal with blisters really effectively. And that's when as soon as they start forming, you clap your hands together as hard as possible and you keep going, and it works. And I've powered through many hard times with that trick. If you've ever dug a hole in Colorado, you know it's 90% rocks. So
very interesting. Yeah. I think, what do you do if this thing's actually found? What are we going to do with it? Is it going to be a protective species?
Probably.
I would think it would be.
I would think that it needs to be protected if it's in fact a real species, until we can at least establish a population, because they'd be treated like any other animal. They, classified based on population, on whether they're endangered or they're nearly extinct, etc., etc.
Because somebody would want to shoot one, because there'd be somebody that would go in and say,
"Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!"
You're damn right.
Yep. So by the way, that is Corey's cue. He's got to take off, so I'm going to let Sir Talks a Lot tell what he's got going on.
All right. Hey, Corey from the Sir Talks a Lot channel. Check me out on YouTube at Sir Talks a Lot, as well as checking out my music channel. It's called Corey Music. I don't have the link with me, so you'll just have to poke around, I guess. People love poking around, so why not? Catch me tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, with Nick Weiser on Talking with Talks a Lot. We're going to have a great discussion about our adventures on YouTube and various other things like voice acting and stuff like that. And then, of course, Yelling at Parked Cars on Comics Division's channel, and Dark Philosophy, my new talk show about these kinds of things and more serious subject matters. Go check them out on the Sir Talks a Lot channel. And if you'd like to be a guest, hit me up on Twitter at The Good Voice Guy. And as always, stay sexy and don't get murdered.
That's right. And, Corey, I'm looking forward to the upcoming weeks of the show. This is going to be just a fun journey. Yes. I really think this is gonna be a fun journey, man. We're gonna have a really good time with this show, and if you reach out to Corey about going on the other shows, folks, also let him know if you have a background, if you know stuff about the paranormal, if you have experiences to share, let him know, and then we can pull you on this show as well. So there you go. Corey, take care of yourself, sir.
I'll catch you guys later.
We will see you, buddy.
I'm so used to being punched out, that punched in the face on my way out, that I forgot I had to push a button before.
We don't have any special punchies on the way out. Sorry, not yet.
Maybe you.
All I have is this.
Spending $150 million on cocaine would make sense.
Well said. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
All right. So, as I said, as Corey gracefully exited, the thing with thing with Sasquatch that is so fascinating to me, and we haven't even covered the other side of it, which is the mystical side. And there's some interesting accounts, by the way, folks, that I wanted to pass on to you. Like, did you know, for example, and I heard this from multiple sources on, on not only Clyde Lewis's show, because he had this on, but other accounts. Now, you remember the Mount St. Helens eruption. Anybody that is Gen X like me or a little older, you remember when Mount St. Helens erupted. Well, follow me here. So after Mount St. Helens erupted, there is supposed accounts that there were Bigfoot creatures that died. And what happened was essentially, and hail to you, by the way, Nick McCabe. Great to see you as well. And essentially what happened was the area was cordoned off immediately following. And these bodies were cleared out. And we have to ask ourselves, does the government know what these creatures are? Are the government throwing off researchers and people like that? Are they trying to keep people from finding out what is the truth about the Sasquatch creature? And I've always wondered about that, because when you have a case like the Mount St. Helens case, you have to wonder. And then, all right, there's the other theory. We were talking about what this creature possibly could be. All right, there's been, again, this is more speculative, obviously. But there have been people that have said that this could be an animal-human hybrid. And we're talking, just pure genetic experiments on human beings. Because there are people that have had sightings that say, I looked that thing square in the face, and mind you, that thing looked like it had human eyes or, some kind of human features to it. There are people that swear by that. And you have to wonder about that theory. Okay, was this all genetic experimentation? Because we do know, and this crosses into the realms of what we're dealing with rogue 3-letter agencies and also World Economic Forum type shit and things like that. So you do know that there are plenty of black budget projects with unaccounted money that could have been, and that money could have went anywhere. It could have went to genetic experimentation on the population without their knowledge. It could have went to, big pharma. It could have went anywhere. But the biggest thing is, after Mount St. Helens, there's a lot of dead wildlife. That's not necessarily inconceivable when you hear a report like that. So I've always wondered what the government connection with Bigfoot is. There's been everything from police officers to military personnel that have sworn that they had an encounter with the creature. There's a very well-documented sighting, a first-hand account from a supposed, special forces guy that, he and the team engaged, real-time live fire with a Sasquatch creature. So, there's some very interesting accounts and reports for this phenomenon. Now, the thing I wanted to get into, as I referenced earlier, and RR brings up a great point here. The Smithsonian has skeletons of giants, so we know the government hides things don't fit the gospel of evolution theory. And RR, you're correct about that, because, think about this. All right. The government, we've already caught them essentially in a lot of lies, and the international community for that matter, in a lot of lies about COVID. Okay. So we do know that they alter information. Governments are known for altering and changing and withholding information from the general population. They don't want the populace to know the whole story of what's going on. And there's always the quote thing, doesn't matter whatever country you live in, oh, it's a matter of national security, so we can't tell you. Well, that's always been a blanket statement for, we're going to hide the truth from you because we figure you don't need to know anyway. But when you think about something like this, well, what exactly is the governmental connection? Why do they want to cover it up? Was this an experiment? Is this some sort of, because the talk has been coming out lately with the increased scrutiny of UAP and people supposedly taking, unidentified aerial phenomena seriously and things like that. All right. So what are they hiding about Sasquatch? What do they know? What is this thing? Is this the extraterrestrial creature that they don't want you to know about? Who knows? Tommy says, I remember a history talk show talking about a fully dated modern human skull hundreds of years before they claim should be possible. Yes. And that's a thing. That is true, Tommy. One of the things that fascinates me about the Bigfoot sighting, and there's actually footage in that show that we referenced, Expedition, or I was thinking, what's it called? Expedition Bigfoot, whatever it is, with Dr. Marina Mayer in it, where she's holding a thermal. Okay, and this fits right along with eyewitness accounts that we've had of Sasquatch creatures that mysteriously have disappeared and turned into orbs. And she has a thermal camera on this thing where it gets smaller and smaller, and eventually there's just an orb-like shape. You explain that to me, because when I saw that, I was amazed, and of course we know with these shows, they do a lot of dramatic, faux drama and stuff to obviously make it so that they play it up for the camera and everything else. And a lot of times we know from reality shows that a lot of stuff is bullshit. But when I see something compelling like that I can't explain, I mean, you just can't explain that. So there's that side of it, and I go back to the Native Americans, where that say, so many different tribes. They say, all right, the Sasquatch has mystical qualities about it. And there's also the theory that we didn't get to touch on it when Corey was here, but I wanted to get into the dimensional theory. Is this the first being, species that we have on the planet that can walk both dimensions? Because it's been said that these creatures are could be possible interdimensional animals where they could just move from one to the other. You know, a lot of that creepy, and I know some of you have read the Missing 411 books or listened to the audiobooks or watched the documentaries. Strange disappearances of people. Do these things make use of interdimensional portals? You know, what exactly is happening here? And then there's again, going back to morphing into orbs, or, you know, a lot of people have seen these things where it almost looks like they're phasing out, like a cloaking effect. You know, some people liken it almost to when you're watching The Predator. You know, which I think, I mean, it's a very high strangeness when you take that those accounts at face value. I mean, that's super high strangeness, and you have to say, when somebody references that, are you high? You know, but at the same time, it's hard to explain the orbs part of it and that type of stuff, because that is fascinating. Now, the cloaking, I'm still Another monster says, as an avid hiker, Missing 411 strikes me the F out. Yes, it does. That's very freaky. Stephen Ransom says, hello, Drew and Corey. Well, Stephen, you missed Corey because he just took off, but it's just me for now. Another monster says, hail at Phil TMNT. Hail, Phil TMNT. Great to see you, buddy. We are talking all things Bigfoot this evening on the premiere episode of the Midnight Prism. I'm so glad I made this show, by the way, guys, because, you know, I did it as kind of that bridge, so because you guys been so used to Enter the Unfamiliar and me going live with Final Death Star, and with him having to step back and kind of take a light break and maybe not be able to do that particular show for only maybe once a month, something like that. I figured, well, hey, you know, I'll go in on Sunday and we'll create a show and we will talk about the paranormal and kind of give it a different perspective and take a really serious, deep dive, hardcore look at it, you know, and, you know, Final tends to do more the religious aspect. I tend to look at each phenomena from the lens of every way possible, not just add in the spiritual tone, you know. Chris Fisk says, ever hear the inverse magnitude theory? The further we zoom out of galaxies, the more they resemble atoms and molecules. Maybe interdimensionality is just the Mobius strip effect of this inversion. You know, and that is a fascinating question, Chris. I mean, that is a very fascinating question because you have to wonder about that. RR says, if Sasquatch does exist, to disappear the way it does, it has to be using interdimensional capability of some sort. It can't just be a missing link primate we have not discovered. You know, and you know, our listen, I get that. You know, Wook's over here laughing his ass off, but you know, I get it because to me, you know, and going back to that theory, that runs directly parallel with what a lot of the Native American legends are. A lot, if you pay attention to these Native American legends, folks, I can tell you, if you read books on Sasquatch, whatever, you know, just research the topic. And there's a lot of books that have the Indian legends in there. They'll tell you, you know, the different things about it. And a lot of these tribes believe that Sasquatch is a mystical being. They view him as a sort of guardian. He's a tribal guardian. There was the account years and years ago. I forget what tribe it was offhand, as there's so many of these different tribal legends, but one tribe is said to have actually aided an injured Sasquatch, came into the tribal village, they took care of it, and while the Sasquatch was on the mend, it lived among the tribe. It functioned as one of the tribal members. They treated the Sasquatch as more of a tribal elder, but he was apparently helped out. They taught it how to do the everyday things, whatever, and it functioned like a member of the tribe. And then one day it just went on its way when it was fully healthy again. But up until then, it lived among the tribe. And then there are other tribal legends that directly refer to these beings as having mystical capabilities, which goes to the cloaking or the interdimensional portals or the to be able to travel in such rapid fashion. So you have to wonder. I mean, you really have to wonder. I mean, this is a fascinating legend because as much as I would like to think that, well, Bigfoot, and I approach it from that reality sort of skepticism standpoint where I just say, well, hey, I really think this is an undocumented primate. This is something they just haven't discovered yet that is just very elusive, shy, wants to stay out of the way of humanity. Which, that's always been said about animals. If an animal doesn't want to be found, you won't find it. So that's very plausible that this thing is just a super good at staying camouflaged, staying hidden, So there's that. But then, you look at all this other stuff and it adds so much spice to the legend. And so many layers to what this thing could be. When I look at what we led off the show with, the stuff, the research that the sort of technique those guys were using, breaking down the Patterson-Gimlin film, to me, this thing is still a large great ape type of animal. I mean, that's just the way I personally believe that's what it is. And it has a smell. So again, that lends me to believe it's an animal. And then there's the other people that think that the Sasquatch isn't just an animal, it's a mystical animal, which, as far-fetched as it may be, you can't discount the evidence of these capabilities because, again, this has been caught on a thermal camera. The whole phenomena with this thing turning into essentially orbs and disappearing. Tommy and Game Pig Collective are playing the RR, ant people, snake people, and who knows what other aliens they've seen on top of the stories of Sasquatch and the Thunderbird. I actually, I'm going to do one of these shows, Tommy, if I can get enough stuff on the Thunderbird, because I find those birds fascinating. Actually, I want to do a show on that, or I'm going to do the Thunderbird as a topic for one of these. Papa Cotton said, we found chameleons, so I get it. And chameleons are a lot smaller than Bigfoot. I get that too. Yes, the stories are similar across the globe where chimeras roam the earth alongside man. Hedy Lamar, talking to RR, says, yes, it's fascinating. In Georgia, the Indian mountains are 100 feet high. That begs many questions. Yes, it does. But when it comes down to Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call him, the Yeti, because we haven't even gotten into the abominable snowman, which is, of course, in the polar regions and, Tibet and those type of places. Obviously the abominable snowman is what Bigfoot is to us. But what it boils down to is whatever these creatures are, if they indeed exist, then they're immediately one of the most fascinating creatures that, the planet has to offer us. Or, if you happen to be a believer in God like me, this is probably one of the most fascinating creatures that God created. So, it's interesting because I really want to see this thing found. I really do. And because this is a subject I've been fascinated with since I was a little boy. I read, hundreds of books on Bigfoot. I've listened to thousands of pieces of audio of supposed Bigfoot howls, cries, whatever. I heard that one very famous audio, the Sierra sounds. I've heard the other ones from oh god, I forget where it was in Oregon. It was someplace in Oregon, and then the obviously the Patterson Gimlin footage. I've seen a lot of other footage. There's that. So it was very interesting. Another monster said, Supreme Heretic, I'm thinking about traveling to Serpent Mountain, Ohio this summer. If you do make it to Ohio, another monster, I certainly hope that you'll reach out via Twitter or something. And, we can figure out a way to connect, because I would like to, grab lunch with you or something like that. So please do reach out, sir. RR says it could be a product of the fallen angels. And yes, we can't discount that. As believers, we can't discount that. Again, and I don't want to make religion a huge part of the show like we do on Enter the Unfamiliar, because I kind of try to be more pragmatic with this show. But I will say this, okay? Even though it's not necessarily plausible, you don't want to just cross it off the list. It's like the logic that Spock made. No matter how improbable it is, you eliminate everything else, and that it still could be. So I'm not going to completely discount the Nephilim connection for this. What says, didn't they find a pyramid in Wyoming or Montana or somewhere? Yes, I believe they did. Hetty says, watch the original movie in the theater in 1974. You're thinking of Boggy Creek, Hetty. Legend of Boggy Creek. Very good movie, by the way. Very underrated movie. Stephen Ransom says, made public. These things have been found. We are just not aware of the truth. Yeah, and Stephen, I made that point because what exactly does the government know about them? Again, we talked about the Mount St. Helens, supposed Mount St. Helens clean out, where they cleaned out the corpses of a number of Sasquatch creatures that died in the Mount St. Helens eruption. It's been reported that the government cordoned the area off and took out the corpses on long flatbed trucks. And so, you may be onto something, sir. And again, that lends credence to the theory. Is it genetic experimentation? Is there a direct connection with humans? Death Angel Shadow. Ooh, someone else I know is streaming. Comics and Culture is done for the night. So how are we doing for time here? We're good. We're having a fascinating discussion, Death Angels, about Sasquatch. And, I like to approach it from a standpoint of, I won't rule out its existence, even though there's a healthy dose on either side, one for skepticism and one for belief. I tend to think that these creatures are real, and either one of two things has happened. The government knows what they are and hasn't told us, or what it is it's completely one of those things where it's an animal that hasn't been found and cataloged yet. So it's that. Steven Ransom said, have you watched a YouTuber called Bob Gimlin? He just dropped an incredible video today. Supreme Heretic must-see channel. I will make sure that I check that out. Papa Cotton says Antarctica wasn't always frozen. No, I believe it wasn't. Death Angel Shadow said there's a local guy here who owns a pizza shop and chases Sasquatch and other paranormal stuff. Yeah, and that's what this new show here is, Death Angel Shadow. I call this show the Midnight Prism, and we're going to discuss all manner of paranormal topics. And our first episode this evening was Sasquatch. And as we move on to different topics, we're going to cover everything from UFOs/UAPs to ghost encounters to shadow people to, oh God, you name it. Dire wolves and Thunderbird and all kinds of things. So, it's going to deal with all unexplained phenomena, paranormal, all of that. Because I think looking at all of this different phenomena, it is fascinating because it's something that you want to learn about. It is unexplained. And, if you have a healthy mind, unlike some of the people that we see on Twitter and in the social media space now, then you want the answers to these questions. You want to know what these things are. It doesn't matter, what the phenomena is. If it's something unexplained, you want to know what it is. It whets your appetite. And it also, again, as we said before, it gives you an escape. And, my goodness, all the stuff that's going on now, much as I like to talk about politics and current events, you guys know I love that because you know how I feel about Tuesdays. But, I also know we need a break. And when we have these discussions, it's very fun to think about this stuff because it is an escape and it's, an exercise for your mind. Rita Doherty says, Drew, I didn't know you were on. Hi, honey. It's good to see you. Rita says, I know something about a shadow man. Yeah. Death Angel Shadow says, you trying to make me miss Art Bell at Supreme Heretic. I was actually listening to, they had a old broadcast, because they every so often, one of the local AM stations here, Death Angels, does old Art Bell. They pull an old Art Bell broadcast out of the vault. And what's interesting? And again, I don't want to make this about politics, folks, so I'll make it super quick. But Art Bell, and this was a show back from '94, so Clinton was in office, and whatnot. This was just apparently like the day after. Like he really went after Rush and everything, where they were trying to get conservative radio banned. And that's why they made that whole act about it. The funny thing was Art Bell was spot on because on that show, actually, the callers that were calling in were telling him the stories of like, hey, dude, You know, that people were spotting the socialism back then. And this was 94, folks. It was 2 years after I graduated high school. This was 94. People already had caught on to the socialist takeover really starting to ramp up. And nobody said a damn thing. Everybody's like, hey, look, this is happening. And what do we do about it, man? You know, people dropped the ball back then because for people that were noticing it, but it's funny because it was just kind of like those people that were calling coast to coast. We didn't have enough people that woke up, stepped out of their shell and said, hey, I see what you're doing, socialists. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, fairness doctrine, Death Angels, exactly. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. You know, if we would have had people back then be very vocal and stand up and bitch, we might not be in the hole that we are now. It's funny because there were enough people our age that were observing it like, okay, this isn't right. People, you know, Democrats are getting more radical. But, yeah, you know, it could have been avoided. But, yeah, Art Bell, it was funny because on that particular broadcast, Death Angels, he was making fun of Clinton, and he was making fun of Stephanopoulos, which I thought was hilarious. But you know, I know I went on a tangent there, but I wanted to tell you about that. Death Angels, that was great. But yeah, Art Bell was something else, man. He was awesome, but he was ahead of the curve on a lot of this. You know, and when you're talking about again the unexplained. It's a very good exercise for the mind. It doesn't matter if you're talking about UFOs / UAPs, or you're talking about ghost encounters or Bigfoot and other cryptids. You know, because it's fun to indulge and fun to engage that. When you get into the missing 411 type of stuff, which I know that a couple people have referenced. Yeah, that stuff really freaks you out. Especially when you get into the ones of like people just up and flat out disappearing without a trace. They find the people's clothing, they find the people's belongings, but the people are just gone with no explanation whatsoever. That is freaky. Yeah, Death Angels, he was. You know, Art knew how to split it right down the middle. Tehillim says, I thought the Sasquatch was Hillary Clinton. Actually, you know, I think the Sasquatch is Culture Casino. I'm kidding. You know, because I know we meme plenty of that stuff with culture, but yeah, I have to say on this particular topic, I really do believe in this phenomenon. I really think at some point we are going to get an explanation given to us of what the Sasquatch species is, but I don't know if it's going to be the truth. Somewhere in between, I think the government knows what this thing is. And even if this isn't direct human-animal hybrid or genetic manipulation, I do believe they know what this thing is. If it does indeed possess higher functioning capabilities, because we know human beings possess higher functioning capabilities. Okay, we've talked before about your third eye, the pineal gland, things of that nature. We have higher functions. We really do. We haven't even unlocked our own brains. So when you think about a creature that may be a higher functioning advanced creature, because that explains their intelligence level, okay? They haven't been caught, period. So, is it implausible? I don't think so. But we will have to see what the official explanation is. But I'm not going to buy the official explanation. But I do want to see evidence. That's one thing I will agree with Corey on. You know, every time you see one of these hair samples, whatever, and you're watching one of these documentaries and they get the hair samples tested, whatever, always tends to come back inconclusive or something like that. It's so disappointing because I just want to see one that freaks everybody the hell out. Like, what is this? You know, and you always just get the inconclusive. It could be this or it could be that. You know, so I want to see more. Again, the Patterson Gimlin film to me compelling. The some of the plaster casts compelling. The print casts. I can take that. But I want to see more hardcore evidence. I got to have hair that is a positive match to something, or have it be the other way where it's no known animal on this planet possesses that. Or I want to see DNA, and I want to see something like scat, whatever. Well, I don't want to see it. I mean, I just want to hear it. I want to see it, but I don't need to see Bigfoot poop. I'm good on that. But I just want to see further, more compelling evidence that will give me, I think, a definitive physical understanding that okay, this thing might be on the level. So, no, another monster. The bots aren't trying anymore, and no, I don't like cheap ones. I mean, I want it to at least be of value. Yeah, and Rita, I want to hold on. I want to hear that story, but I want you to hold on to it. I'm actually, when I do a show on hauntings and things like that, I will reach out to you and call you, and you can give me the account firsthand, and I will share it on the air. So, yeah, Stephen Ransom, and I've heard that too. And folks, when people have had Sasquatch encounters, one of the things that they describe as being really paralyzed with fear, almost to the degree that they forget the details of the encounter altogether. It's like almost like a paralysis that takes them over, and it affects everything. Or they're frozen in place and I can't run or whatever. It's weird. But I've heard of that. And then there's there's also encounters, which again, take it for what it is, but there's also encounters where people have said, or they've reported that they have had some sort of telepathic connection with these creatures. Which, if we go back to what we were talking about, if they're high functioning in the next level, then no, that's not implausible that they could communicate on that plane. Yes, Rita. When you're talking about having that thing, yeah. Ghost manifestations, it's often you're not the first person that's told me that there's been a cursed or haunted object, and then once they got rid of it, things returned to normal. Because that's the thing, actually. Hetty, that's no problem. You know, we were just talking about the reports that people were frozen in place by fear or had a weird kind of almost panic attack flesh being frozen in fear type of deal when dealing with the Sasquatch. Stephen Ransom said, I think they have a subsonic attack that is primordial. I'm sorry, Stephen. When you brought that up, I was just like thinking of Pokemon, like Sasquatch is a Pokemon. Give him a subsonic, Sasquatch. Hail TZ Burton. Yes, I am. This is a new program that I am debuting called The Midnight Prism. So very fitting. It's quite after midnight, and we are discussing all things paranormal and the unexplained on this program. I'm actually having a very good time doing this. Death Angel says, I do find it interesting that there are similar stories of Sasquatch, skunk apes, Bigfoot, etc. all around the world. Yes, there is. And almost, there's a dearth of countries that have some sort of cryptid creature along the lines of Sasquatch. So, yeah, you're right about that, Death Angels. It's the Australians and New Zealanders have the Yowie. I believe it's called the Yowie. So. Boy, I saw a Yowie, mate. Yes, the Yeti could be included in that group because that's very prevalent in Nepal and places of like that. So, but yeah, whatever these creatures are, and the variants of these creatures, because obviously I think the skunk apes are a little bit different, or just more lean, if you will, because I think the skunk apes have been reported like a little bit leaner type of Sasquatch creature. They're not the typical California, Washington State, Bigfoots that you see, big wide-shouldered 7 to 10 foot creatures. These are more like, 6 to 7.5 foot creatures. They're very they're lanky. They're muscular. But they're lanky and they're definitely more apish, I think, than the Sasquatch creature. Tehillim says maybe the Sasquatch is really Biden. No, I actually think Biden at this point is just a zombie that is inhabiting a man because, oh my God, that guy, he has to have a card to be able to do anything. My goodness. Yes, Hetty. Yetis do not like the city. Death Angel Shadow says, well, different territories and stuff. So, I mean, they tout Bigfoot or Sasquatch is to this area in East Tennessee. Yes. It's funny. So, Tehillim, that you bring that up. So, guys, a lot of you guys, we're all around the same general age group. It's funny because I know that Lucas has told the story about the Chewbacca character. It was mainly based on his dog, right? But what's funny, if you ever look at the action figure or you just look at the Chewbacca costume in general, you can pay attention to the feet. Wonder where that comes from. Wonder why Chewbacca looked almost like roughly like a Sasquatch. You have to really kind of wonder that because even when you have the action figure, if you have the old Star Wars figure Chewbacca, if you look at your Chewbacca figure, look at the feet. I mean, it doesn't look like a dog man. It looks more like a Sasquatch. So I've always wondered that. You guys are really going to make me play this, aren't you? You'll make me play this tonight. This is my clip for United Resistance. I don't want to waste that on this show. This is the only time it's going to be seen on this show because I'm going to put together some clips for this show. But since you guys keep bringing it up,
I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
It's the only time you're going to see that clip on the show. All right, I'm going to come up with some clips just for this show. But since this is the first episode tonight, we're going to appropriate from wherever we do. But it's the only time you're going to see that. That one's for United Resistance. I can't waste it all on Midnight Prism. Yep. Oh, you guys had to channel Biden. You had to call Biden here, so I couldn't resist. Yeah, I know that's right, brother. I know that's right. Yeah. Tehillim says, what if Kashyyyk is really Earth in Star Wars? Very interesting, dude. This is God, Tehillim, why you gotta do that? You like make my head spin now, because I'm gonna be thinking about that. I'm like, what? Wait, what? I'm thinking about that. The droid attack on the Wookiees. Ryben will be brought up when we get to aliens. You're not wrong. He says, I'm losing weight from the cost of food. No kidding. I really am too, girl. I really am too. Stephen Ransom says, I am not joking either. We feel these things. I completely believe in a very clinical way that these things are happening to physical objects. Yes, they are. And we will, again, guys, listen, I know you're bringing up your stories from that and responding to Rita's experience. Hold on to that because we will get into that because I really want to get into that concept of actually like possession and possessed objects and things like that, or manifestations in objects. Death Angel says that's some of the true love you have to her. Nice. Tehillim said, "It's like where are the dingoes in Star Wars?" Nice. I like it. Well, folks, it is 5 minutes to 2 a.m. As the Stream Elements bot just shared, you can follow me on Twitter at Supreme Heretic. Listen, quick disclaimer about following me on Twitter, okay? My Twitter feed can get super spicy at times. I don't take shit from liberals, okay? Number one. Number two, I don't take shit from the government. And I speak my mind. No matter what, I speak my mind. Now, sometimes Twitter don't like it. Sometimes YouTube don't like it. But I'm going to continue to speak my mind no matter what. Because it's my right because I live in a free country. So I'm going to continue to speak my mind. So I'm opinionated. I say, I don't hold back. And some people like me for it. Some people shy away from me for it. That's fine. but I am exactly the person behind the camera as I am in front of the camera or when the camera's off. So, you get that from me because I'm not into this to get, famous or, be, one of those cliche YouTube channels that chases the algorithm. I'm not do 100 videos guy. I'm not do 100 Amber Heard, Star Wars, Spider-Man, whatever videos, flavor of the month videos to chase the algorithm. I don't do that. What I am is a live streaming channel that gives you a veritable amount of content. You get a little pop culture, you get politics and current events, and now we have the paranormal and the unexplained. I think that's a good balance. I like doing it, and this is going to be awesome. So, Death Angel Shadow said, I've seen unidentified aircraft back in the mid-90s, but suspected it was skunkworks stuff. Yep. Again, that is... that phenomena by itself is interesting, Death Angels. I'd love to get into that, too. Another monster says, I am the algorithm. Nice. Hetty says, sleep well, everyone. Do not fear as God is with you. Bye. Hetty, I love you, honey. Sleep well. It's good seeing you. Stephen Ransom said, I love this channel segment too. I really do too, Stephen. I'm looking forward to Sundays and doing this stream because it brings a whole different dynamic in. And I get really jazzed to do this kind of content. I like this stuff. I've always been, because I'm a seeker of knowledge, guys. I'm a seeker of truth. I love the unexplained. I love the quote paranormal. It's awesome because it's something that we want to know about. Because you should want the answers to questions on how stuff works and why stuff exists and, what is what. What are the major questions of the universe? All of that. We should have that. There's not enough people that question things anymore. I'll tell you, folks, we're one of the last generations that actually does question the world around us. And it's not only, our existence or unexplained phenomena or things like that. We actually still were the ones that questioned our leaders or questioned, our processes and all of it. And it kept us based in critical thinking, which is a sad, we've had a sad decline in critical thinking over generations. And it's something that we need to get our kids back to and things like that. Because we really need to set humanity back on a good course. But with that said, again, I want to thank you for coming out this evening and just spending your time listening. Because I do believe that when we give our mind stimulation, when we take a journey into the things that we don't understand, it's both relaxing and challenging to our mind. And that's something that we need. And I'm very glad to delve into this sort of content. And Sundays, this show is going to be really, really fun to do with you guys. It really is. Because it's not only that I have like Sir Talks a Lot on as a co-host, or I have, Immortal Coil when he joins the show, when he starts co-hosting with me. You guys, all of you in the chat are like having another co-host because you bring a very keen and different perspective, each one of you. And that's a testament to the wonderful individuals that you are, because you're all unique and you have, great things about you and your individuality that I love, because I'm friends with so many of you. And that's what I love about you. All unique men and women, unique individuals. And, it's a pleasure to get to speak with you in these forums and on YouTube and on Twitter. So at any rate, listen, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I love you. I really do. And listen, if anybody has any great topics that you want me to speak on in the future or cover on this program, any paranormal or unexplained stuff, if you have some breaking news that you want me to cover on United Resistance that has to do with what's going on in the world, send me that too. Anything. Or even if you just want to reach out and say, hey, Drew, how are you? Or tell me about your day, whatever. That's what I'm here for. Because in the end, we all look after each other. Because that's what the best of humanity is all about. But thank you, folks. Have a wonderful night. And I will talk to you on Tuesday for United Resistance. Until then, good night.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, hi, Coast Casino.
Hey, welcome to Sporking News Podcast. My name is Scott.
I'm E. Temple Queen of the Place to Be Reviews.
I am the Patriot, Drew Taylor, aka Supreme Heretic.
The Red Gaze on YouTube, at the Red Gaze on Twitter.
What up, what up, what up?
Hello, everybody. It's me, Vinny.
The voice of Immortal Coil.
Oh, hey, I am